This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Welcome to 9 to noon, 651 Carpets Plus Studios. It is Nordo in for PA. PA and the team currently traveling from Dublin to London. It's an international affair. From one stop to the next as they remain international, as they remain over the pond, and they get set to wash their hands clean of whatever that is that we just heard via the broadcast yesterday at Croke Park in Dublin. The Vikings losing 24-21 as the team now ventures to Tottenham to take on the Browns. 6 days from today, so we get to do it again. Kegs and eggs. At 8:30 a.m. on Sunday, we get pumped up for our favorite team. And you heard it in one of those final highlights there. We won't be worried about TJ Watt or Cam Hayward. No big deal. We will just be worried about Myles Garrett and a defensive front against an offensive line that had most of you yesterday at times scrambling to Google to feverishly search Joe Huber. Who's Joe Huber? Joe Huber played in an NFL game yesterday. The MASH unit continues with the Minnesota Moving Company. Disappointed Vikings fans throughout the show today. Massive opportunities for talkbacks. Want to hear from you. Whether it's the text line first, of course, KFAN Bradshaw and Bryant text line 64686. Your thoughts on what you saw yesterday in Dublin. Your thoughts moving forward. Text it out. You also have an opportunity with the free iHeartRadio app, the talkback feature. Hit that microphone. I'm assuming we're already your preset. KFAN would be your preset on the free iHeartRadio app. But with that, you just hit that microphone. You give us up to your best 30 seconds. And I will try to screen them my best for FCC violations, and then we shall air them. The Vikings lose 24-21, and a lot to unpack. But in the end, it was just from a week to week standpoint, how quickly things can change, and the euphoria that you would have felt after that Bengals game, and Isaiah Rodgers doing what he did, and Carson Wentz steady, stable, calm, poised throughout the day. Took a few sacks, but in the end, no turnovers. Jordan Mason churning. Mason was mashing week 3 against the Bengals. And that was kind of, in some ways, it felt like, is this a get-right game for a team that's still trying to figure out the quarterback spot, that's still trying, as we are about to exit the first month of the season and head into October, a team still trying to get healthy? And I think we saw a bit of that from our opponents yesterday. A team trying to figure out its offense with Aaron Rodgers. A team without Jaylen Warren, where, I don't know, into the game, I'm thinking without Jaylen Warren, they won't be able to run the ball. We will have significant success. Oh, well, then Kenneth Gainwell has like the game of his life.
Offset eye left behind Aaron Rodgers, second and goal from the one. Freiermuth in motion to the left, hand off Gainwell. Goes to the left side, and he heads into the end zone. Touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, sweet. Nearly 100 yards on the ground for Mr. Gainwell. And in addition to that rushing touchdown, he would score a second one later on, 5 a clip. The way that we were able to shut down Chase Brown, we were not able to do that to the hobbled and undermanned rushing attack of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kind of reminds you of that week 2 game against the Atlanta Falcons in some ways. Although Gainwell, no Bijan. Figured into the game, man, Rodgers has taken 7 sacks through the first 3 games. Well, that left side of the line in particular, with Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, they were responsible for, I believe, 6 of the 7 sacks that Rodgers had sustained. First play of the game, Jalen Redmond gets him. Quick game, getting it out of his hands. The adjustments that we saw from the Steelers offense yesterday. DK Metcalf like this.
Aaron Rodgers, 1st and 10 from his own 20. He's 8 of 8 for 65 yards. Back to pass. Fast the 40, 50, the Vikings 40, to the 30, inside the 20, touchdown Pittsburgh Steelers. An 80-yard touchdown from Aaron Rodgers to DK Metcalf.
So we heard that highlight already in the open. I don't want to hear the rest of it. Vikings lose 24-21. The week-to-week league that it is. And it's difficult, again, excited for the talkbacks. I already see a bunch of them popping in here, and we're gonna play those, find our way to them. But I received yesterday a call to Fan Line. Did Fan Line after the loss with Ron Johnson. And somebody called in yesterday, and they were begging for more consistency out of the team. And just think about the roller coaster through 4 now. Team's 2-2. Okay, 4 games into the season. Perspective is required. Patience is certainly required with this operation. But the caller, and appreciated Vikings-loving listener that he is, he was begging for more consistency from his favorite team. And just kind of think what we've seen through 4 games now. Bears game, you're waiting. Talk about patience in the opener at Soldier Field. Team comes alive in the fourth quarter. 3 consecutive scoring drives, and you find your way to that W. And despite the previous 45 minutes, those final 15 kind of defined the way that you looked at the kid QB and J.J. McCarthy. And you're 1-0, loving it. Falcons, it's much more of the same, except there's no fourth quarter awakening. And then this Bengals game, boom. Shock therapy, right? The defensive TDs, the efficiency from the new QB with JJ in the ankle. Lopsided lead, kicker hits from 62. You can do no wrong. And you blow them out. But then you see another game in yesterday's affair that felt a lot like Soldier Field, that felt a lot like the Falcons game without, of course, the glory of victory yet again. Consistency. I agree with that listener yesterday to Fan Line and any of you popping into the text line. We all want consistency. But much like asking my kids to clean up after themselves, you can ask every day. It's a fleeting and futile proposition. And you can be let down every day. And the conversation moving forward through 4 games, the present, the now, really has to start with health when you talk about the consistency. And I know it goes way beyond that in a lot of ways. But again, to belabor a point that I don't know if you can belabor enough, whether number 9 gets healthy and we see him after the bye, if we continue on with Carson Wentz, whichever route we go at that spot, I think it will continue to be ugly if there isn't an answer for the Minnesota Moving Company. You start the game with Darisaw into Blake Brandel, into Ryan Kelly, into Will Fries, into Brian O'Neill. At one point, you have now Justin School in for Brian O'Neill on the right side, waiting to hear the results of the MRI. Sounds MCL related. I would say Brian O'Neill not off to the best start of his career regardless, but he's our preferred right tackle. We need him. We don't have him. We saw what a couple games of Justin School looked like on the left side. And then just in case we were curious, we got to see it on the right side yesterday. You heard the host of 9 to Noon, who's in flight right now, maybe with his sleeping mask, maybe he's already, and this is more likely the case, digging into the depth chart of the Cleveland Browns. But you heard him join the power trip. And just kind of conversations about what it means, not just into a game where there are injuries, but when the injuries occur in game. So your preferred starting 5 in an NFL game for a team that has drafted poorly and found its way to, albeit oft injured, sadly, but free agent veterans who know the game, have some talent, can produce, can help you win games. Your preferred lineup is Darisaw, Brandell, Kelly, Fries, O'Neal. And at one point in that game yesterday at Croke Park, trying to win a game, trying to outclass Aaron Rodgers, trying to figure out Tomlin's defense, you're rolling out there with Darisaw, Joe Huber at left guard for a stretch, Brandell at center, who would then bounce back out to left guard once Michael Juergens entered the affair. Will Fries, tough start to the season for him, and Justin School. So to belabor the health, it matters, and it was certainly a factor yesterday. Beyond that with this team, though, because it does go beyond that. The health, how much that impacts. How is our perception changing, even of those first two games with J.J. McCarthy? The health of the offensive line matters. So, again, I don't believe you can belabor that too far. However, the penalties with this team. The penalties with this team are so ridiculous and blatantly unacceptable at this stage. And we can go backwards in time. You get a delay a game at the 2 in that Falcons game. I think you end up kicking a field goal there. There was a sack in the mix on a third down. Third down sacks, by the way. At some point, I'll do Nordo's numbers, thanks to my buddies at Zone Coverage. Third down sacks for this particular team. It is ugly. And the sack rate in totality and dropbacks with this team right now is borderline it's getting borderline historical in how bad it is right now. We would be worried if just one guy had endured the number of sacks that the Vikings offensive line has allowed. But again, not to belabor. The penalties are awful. Will Fries, downfield, just completely out of his mind. I know it's a timing thing, and you got to wait for things to set up, and there's a delicate nature to it. You practice these things. You're in the red zone. You cannot have the ineligible man downfield penalty in that spot. I referenced the delay of game that brought us from the opportunity at the 2 to score a touchdown to ultimately you step back 5 yards, you take a third down sack, you're kicking a field goal. How much different things can look when you are kicking instead of grittying. But that ineligible man downfield penalty was ridiculous. The false start on third down. Darisaw, a 3rd and 7 becomes a 3rd and 12. I believe Carson Wentz was sacked on that play as well. Third down sacks, 4 of his 6. I'm shooting from the lip on that one. I believe it's 4 of the 6 took place on third down. And when things are grinding a bit, when Rodgers makes that adjustment, quick game, everything's, boom, 2 steps, it's gone. When they're adjusting and now you are trying to adjust, how about those 2 unsportsmanlike penalties yesterday for Murphy and Dallas Turner? So through 4 games, you could actually say this. The Vikings are an utterly undisciplined operation. Is it fixable? It totally is. And maybe it's just Gatto Barbieri just kind of getting me in a doom and gloom. I'm not doom and gloom. We have the ability to beat the Browns, go into the bye 3-2. Let's get this kid QB working. Again, back to the health side of things. That matters. Totally fixable. It was a classic. It's all correctable. But all the same, it is. Are they better than this? Absolutely they are. As a matter of fact, for the most part, I don't have all the stats in front of me. Statistically, Kevin O'Connell's group has been among the less penalized squads in the NFL. But through 4 games, our favorite football team has not proven. They haven't proven that they can play a clean game without laundry on the field. I mentioned the delay of game in the Falcons game. How about the delay of game yesterday? And I appreciate the idea. We are in foreign territory. The field conditions, almost universally in these games, the fields are slick. There are seams in the turf. It's ugly out there. Consistently, universally. And how about just being told, NFL squad, your first world problems or first world sports league problems. But in a game that requires a play clock, not just the game clock, but the play clock. Some ref just rolls up to you. It's like 3 minutes from kickoff. You got 100 things bouncing in your head, and the ref's like, yeah, you're not going to have that today. I get it. Something to adjust to. Both teams got to adjust to it, by the way. But I even heard during Kevin O'Connell's press conference yesterday that time's winding down. We don't have the play clock. I personally don't look at that as an excuse in that spot. I got to have the dagger ready to go. As we're stepping to that line, I got to have a play right now. And he even mentioned we were trying to get in as detailed a play as possible. We got to have that play. We got to have that play. The delay of game is unacceptable. I don't care if the electricity has gone out in the stadium. We have to be ready to snap that ball in that spot. It didn't happen. We are the second most penalized team in the NFL now through 4, and we got a couple games tonight. But looking at it, I don't think they'll catch us. We're the second most penalized team in the NFL with 37 against us, 11 more in our opponents in those games. So we're averaging almost 3 more flags a game than our adversary. And in case you're curious, and you can look this up. I just went to a website, much like you can. The 18 pre-snap penalties, in particular, are the worst in the NFL. So your false starts, some formational bits. Spencer Rattler and the Saints are more organized and ready to go pre-snap than the Vikings are right now. That's how disorganized and discombobulated this thing has become through 4 games. Again, and that's the insanity and the hope selling of a show that loves our favorite teams. The hope selling part of it is this can absolutely change on a dime. The discipline part of it. The health thing, a little more tenuous, Vikings fans, no doubt about that. But that's what we are looking at. Belaboring the health side of things combined with a complete lack of discipline. And then in the end, man, I love this team. We get a blocked kick from Isaiah Rodgers. We're looking for life from the interior of the D-line and Jalen Redmond. How about that second sack where he just grabbed Rodgers and said, no, thank you, and just slammed him like a rag doll to the turf. Beautiful moment. Jordan Addison, welcome back. How did Peyton Wilson track you down, though? Would have minded seeing him get into the end zone there. But welcome back, Jordan Addison. And you can talk about the 6 sacks. Not all of them. I do not believe all of them are on Wentz. Mason, the difference a game makes. 16 carries against the Bengals, 16 against the Steelers yesterday. Certainly the productivity averaging 7 a clip against Cincy. We did not see that yesterday. Luck of the Irish, fumbles it. Ramsey takes it to the house. Even Gritty's. Oh, in your face, Vikings fans. Only to find out Mason, either he's the most aware person that's ever played the NFL game, or just maybe there was some coincidence and or luck, a ball bouncing our way. He touched it while he was out of bounds. No fumble, and it's Vikings ball. There were some good things to see yesterday. That's the frustrating nature of a inconsistent team, an inconsistent operation, an undisciplined operation that leads to inconsistency. An unhealthy team at this particular point. At the offensive line, first and foremost, maybe. Leading to that inconsistency that we've been seeing with this team. But they're 2-2. They're 2-2. And so, how does this team adjust? And that'll be kind of the conversation, not just today, but PA is going to be back in the mix tomorrow once they all get settled into London. How does this team adjust? Because every team deals with injuries. Every team deals with the fluidity of game flow, player in, player out. That's on the staff to be ready not just for the Browns game, but each subsequent game after that. Every team deals with this. How are we going to deal with it? We watched Rodgers adjust to a defensive front that he knew was going to be a problem all day. Into that game, I'm thinking to myself, man, this might be one of those Grenard games. We don't have Van Ginkel in the mix. Dallas Turner, another opportunity. Come on, take hold of it, number 15, please. But Grenard is going to be in that backfield quite a bit. What do? 2 steps. It's gone. 2 steps. It's gone. The way that they adjusted offensively and our inability to have a response to that. So moving forward, I'm worried about this Brian O'Neill thing. Really, just from a human factor. I mean, the concussion's adding up for Ryan Kelly. That's not good for him. And I would just anticipate that he's not in the mix for a while. How do we adjust? Because we can't keep going into these games and say, well, we just aren't healthy enough. We don't have a preferred group. Then that becomes a personnel conversation and a depth conversation that goes well beyond even the vacuum of a singular game at Croke Park in Ireland, right? How do we adjust? How do we turn the page on this? And so that's going to be PA back in the mix tomorrow. Practice shall be starting on Wednesday in London. Pump for an opportunity to beat the Browns on Sunday. But that adjustment has to take place, and that's going to be that's a heavy onus on Mr. O'Connell and the Vikings coaching staff. KO, by the way, it's super cool just because they're overseas. Always gracious enough to join us for X's and O's with head coach Kevin O'Connell. You hear that play on Wednesday nights, but we do a live, of course, Tuesdays, typically at TCO Studios in Eagan. But they're going to get together tomorrow at 11 a.m. and kind of business as usual. So we'll get to hear from the head coach on all of these things. Again, and how do they adjust? We're unhealthy. We're undisciplined. How do we move forward? Because that has to change. And out of the bye, again, whether it's Carson, whether it's J.J. McCarthy, Philly don't care. Philly, by the way, unbelievable with these Eagles. If you were already annoyed with the tush push, now they're running fakes out of the tush push. What are you going to do? Yeah. Some challenges ahead on the schedule and beyond for the Purple. Let's get healthy. But let's get disciplined. These penalties are preposterous. And it's making this team completely disorganized on a game-to-game basis. That is something, in lieu of predicting injury, that you can just get in a meeting room and hash out and step up and fix on your own, regardless of who's in there. And I'm looking forward to those changes taking place this week. TimberTech's set list is brought to you by TimberTech, timbertech.com. At 11 a.m., Parker Fox is going to be in studio, a weekly guest 9 to noon, hoping that he's also able to sit in, because on the celebratory end of things, a good thing that happened over the weekend, Gopher fans, you got to see Drake Lindsay put it up a little bit, and he was terrific in that somewhat shootout-like win over Rutgers and Nathan Kaliakmanis. So PJ Fleck's going to join around 10:45. Alec Lewis, I don't know if he's left for London yet, or maybe he's just still in Dublin and will eventually make the trip, but I'm going to chat with Alec Lewis. He's over the pond somewhere. We'll find out where in the world is Alec Lewis. We'll learn that around 10:20. We do have to do the border battle with Cine. How anticlimactic was that tie? Oof. Tie. Ooh. But we will talk with Cine in the weekly border battle, win or lose. Dave Sinykin in the mix at 9:45. But when we return, more conversation on the Vikings. And I got a bunch of talkbacks that I want to rattle through as well. But it's Nordo in for PA on a Monday. You're home for Vikings football. The Fan, Brett Blakemore produces. And I've just been informed, man, we could use a W on a Monday morning after Kegs and Eggs went the wrong way in Dublin. Looking for a dub in Dublin, and we didn't get it. How about a cash giveaway opportunity, Brett?
It's back, the cash thing. The Fan and 2 men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword is deposits for this hour. The keyword deposit, KFAN.com. Keyword deposit. Comedian Kelsey Cook is bringing A Night of Laughs to the Fitzgerald Theater October 4th. Catch one of two shows, including a special taping. You can enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets today at the contest page, KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
Yeah, Nordo, this is Sean from Northfield. Just had a quick question. With our defense giving up so many yards, do you think teams have finally figured out Force's defense, and that's why they are racking up the yards in the points against us? I know that when we first started, he was great, but now it's kind of declined. So give me your thoughts.
I think Van Ginkel matters a ton. I think Blake Cashman matters a ton. I think Harrison Smith, not out there for every snap, matters a ton. I think some of those play into what you're talking about. But there are instances, like yesterday on that 80-yard touchdown pass where it was just the perfect play called against the defense. And you have Ivan Pace, his responsibility goes to the flat, so he's pulled out of the mix. Eric Wilson appears to be, and maybe this is a depth or a positioning situation without knowing the exact play called. That's the main issue there, is not knowing exactly where Wilson was supposed to be, because on the replay it just looks like he's chasing the whole time, and it looks like he kind of got caught in no man's land. But if the idea is sound, I'm just wondering, through 4 games, again, how this team adjusts, specifically defensively. Can we tackle? I got some audio I might play a little later, I think from Josh Metellus. And he talks about the basics of tackling. Tackling was a substantial issue in the Falcons game. I thought it reared its ugly head. I don't care how big and strong DK Metcalf is, and he's a horse. There's no doubt about it. What you saw yesterday from a tackling perspective in many different moments, not just that play, were disastrous to say the least. So that, for me, is kind of the A topic with the Vikings defense. In the 2 games, we watched them struggling at times, whether it was stopping Bijan or yesterday figuring out Gainwell and DK Metcalf with the long one. Talkback Machine, free iHeartRadio app.
Hey, no. One question I've got is how many offensive line do we need to go through before we look at the offensive line coach? It seems like the guys that went to different teams, the Bradburys, those guys are doing well with their new teams, yet we were all excited about everything that we had this year, and when does that eventually go back on the coach?
Yeah. Now, one thing I would say is before we do anything, let's not just assume that everything's going well for Bradbury in New England. Let's just not assume, although they put it on Tennessee yesterday, let's not just assume that Ed Ingram is the next Marshall Yanda down in Houston. Again, wow, they dominated the Titans, and Cam Ward's freaking out. The head coach is in trouble. The whole thing. Ugly. But I can't go that far and just say, hey, look over there. And I got plenty of text messages yesterday and today. It's like, oof, I miss Bradbury and Ed Ingram. Can I tell you something? I kind of do too. I can't go after the coach because I don't feel like I'm armed with enough information to do so. But I will say, from a personnel perspective, look at what this team has done, whether Donovan Jackson, and by the way, Donovan Jackson is going to be a dude. And you should love Donovan Jackson through 4 games, and he's only played in 3 of them. You should be really excited about what they got in Donovan. And when he comes back healthy, post this little wrist thing, he's going to be very good for a long time. And him and Darisaw together on that left side could be something special. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I really believe in Donovan Jackson. Absolute home run of a pick. It appears. But we shall see. But the issue that we're seeing right now, Ryan Kelly, happy and healthy, not getting concussions. that can be good. Will Fries, frankly, I don't know what to think of Will at this point because I don't believe he's been very good through 4 games. And does that speak to the idea that, we signed him for multiple years. We didn't sign him for 4 weeks, so we got to let this kid work through that season-ending injury, only played in 4 or 5 games, getting him up to speed. Is that truly a thing? Or is he just underwhelming at the start? But the problem is when you're really excited about your depth, it's a lot stronger position to be in when you don't actually have to test that depth. And so from a personnel standpoint, I don't think you can really judge Joe Huber. He shouldn't be on the field right now. Break glass in case of massive emergency for a Joe Huber type. Michael Juergens, somebody that they were really excited about. Now that he's getting opportunities, sadly, because of the injuries to Ryan Kelly, hasn't been good enough. Blake Brandel, we saw him as a starter. I ain't mad at Blake. He comes in, he can play center, he can play guard. We needed him to do both yesterday at times. Not mad at him, Justin School. Kind of the idea, man, it's really nice to have a tackle that has started games in the NFL in case Christian Darrisaw is not ready to come back. That's been disastrous, to say the least. So is it the coach? Is it the personnel and the acquiring? You look at, again, Donovan Jackson, potential absolute grand slam. But other than that, Rouse and Juergens, we're familiar with those names. And you got to go back to 2022, of course, you draft Ed Ingram. So from a draft standpoint, that has not been a particular target of the Minnesota Vikings, at least in high volume. For a Minnesota moving company that you as Vikings fans, and I'm well aware of this as well, that has been a place where that has drawn significant ire among Vikings fans over the course of time. So is it the coach? Right now, I'm with you. Bradbury and Ingram, I wish they were here. But testing our depth from a personnel standpoint, they have not been up to snuff when asked to step in and make plays. I don't want to completely undervalue the idea, though, of how difficult it can be to go through an entire practice week with a game plan. This is how we're going to do it. This is who we have in this spot. And then second quarter, you're thrusting into the mix a backup and what potentially can be a risk and the problems that can ensue from there. If you have an entire week, now in Justin School's case, well, an entire month appears to have not helped. But in other cases, the ability to prepare in advance proves some form of advantage.
What's up, Nordo? This is Dylan in Brooklyn, New York. Let's just get to the bye week, 2-2. A lot of teams are up and down week to week in this league. We see it every single week. Packers just tied the Cowboys. 10 wins probably gets you in the playoffs. Let's get the offensive line healthy. Then Ginkle back. That defense is completely different with him out. Let's get JJ under center. Wentz missed a lot of throws yesterday. And let's just play ball. See where we're at after the bye. Get healthy. Skol.
And that's the other side of it. That's the other side of it from a 9 to noon perspective is the health we can't change. The penalties have to change. It's ridiculous and unacceptable, as I said earlier. But the 2-2 aspect of it, although it was painful yesterday, just kind of 6 degrees of Vikings football and Vikings history. It's okay. Bears are trying to do their thing. And, man, the regression of Geno Smith, not greatly overstated. 6 or 7 picks now through the first 4 games. Caleb Williams and company rolling down the field. They get the go-ahead. Now we just need Geno and the Raiders to kick that winning field goal. Who do they have? They got Daniel Carlson, one of the most accurate kickers since some early struggles here in Minnesota. Block the kick. Bears, 2-2. Vikings, 2-2. That's bad for business. Packers, tying. Lions, rolling over those Browns yesterday. But getting healthy, getting into the bye. the ups and downs of this season. Always felt like there would be some as we thrust J.J. McCarthy into this role. But to the extent of the injuries, to the extent of McCarthy not even being able to take the field, man, if you're looking for consistency, this ain't the place. At least not yet. We will talk more about this again next hour. PA, after the game yesterday, he had an interview with Justin Jefferson, had a short chat with Elijah Williams as well on the defensive side of the ball. So you're going to hear those recorded conversations shortly after the loss. Many more talkbacks to jump into. It's kind of interesting. A lot of GM-related talkbacks this morning. The GM is crazy. A lot of unhappy Vikings fans. They don't play that sounder, Brett. Okay? Do not play that sounder, please.
All right.
A lot of talkbacks and texts on the GM right now. But the GM didn't play the game. He may have had some things to do with how that game came about. But in the end, more talkbacks and texts to begin the second hour. Dave Sinykin and the weekly border battle is next, 9 to noon. That's Wayne Larrivee on the call. We love him for his work. We love our next guest. We just don't particularly care much for the team. Joining us now, whether it's in the zone, it's Packer Preview, it's Dave Sinykin at TC Head Cheese as part of the weekly
Border Battle.
Mr. Sinykin, good morning.
Morning, Nordo.
So I know you and Brett have this Packer Review podcast, and you scrambled, you put it together this morning, it sounds like, and it's available on the free iHeartRadio app. Now, does Pack with these international games, do they just put Packer Preview on at like 2 a.m.? Like, how does that whole thing work?
Yeah, we were bumped on Sunday, so we did a podcast version of Packer Preview that was available on the iHeart app. Hopefully, folks found it. This week, Packers have their bye, so I wouldn't be on anyway. So it actually worked out okay. We'll be back rolling in week 6, and hopefully the Packers will figure some things out by then.
Man, after my team did what it did or didn't do what I thought it would do at Croke Park in Ireland yesterday, I've rooted against your team for a very long time, and I take pleasure in it. I don't think I've ever rooted against your team more than I did last night, and I have to say it, this hurts. Jordan Love, when the lights were bright in primetime, against Eberflus's defense, there is an asterisk. My goodness with that defense. But Jordan Love answered the bell, didn't he?
Yeah, he's very, very, very good, and he's been good really for 4 games. Obviously, Cleveland's defense was much better than the Packers' offense and the offensive line in week 3, but, and he's doing it without, 4 starters, really, 2 linemen, 2 receivers. So it was nice to see Love step up when the defense completely failed this team for the first time all season, from the second half through the overtime. Yeah, twice the Packers take a lead in the fourth quarter with touchdowns to go up 4. And, just the way this defense has played, I felt really confident they'd finally make a stop. They just never did. But Love was always given just enough time to make the plays. So, yeah, silver lining, he was really, really good. The offense finally got the running game going, and that side of the ball woke up. But now defense and special teams and decision-making and clock management, there's a laundry list of things to worry about with the bye week here.
No, and it's not boring at all because my favorite team is dealing with clock management and maybe decision-making and all things. Not to mention, of course, there's a health component to it with my squad. I like digging into the weeds. And I again, it's been a long time since I've rooted against your team as vigorously as I did from my bed last night. My goodness, with the game on the line, and in some ways I appreciate the aggression, but LaFleur letting Jordan Love take that snap and try to make that play to the end zone with 1 freaking second left. I know we were in Ireland, but did you wake up in a bed of 4-leaf clovers with enough time left on the clock to even tie that thing last night? What a decision that was.
I don't think I slept. It took me hours to just calm down enough to finally fall asleep. It was not pretty. You replay that sequence over and over in your head, and maybe you get kind of over the years watching Aaron Rodgers direct things at the ends of games. It was always just so calm and measured. It was just never something you worried about. And I'm not putting this totally on Love, but the way they screwed up when it was 1st and 10 from the 12 with 30 seconds left and one timeout, it was astonishing. It just we haven't seen that from Matt LaFleur's offense. And there's just this casualness about everybody. I mean, after the dump down to Golden on 2nd down that, they had to keep the ball moving, the clock's running. Nobody was hustling back to the line. Receivers were taking their time. Love's making the let's huddle up sign. The clock's ticking down. I mean, at this point, he's told ozone, out of bounds, end zone, nothing else.
Yeah.
But just spike it. I mean, you cost yourself so much time. I'm astonished they got a second left on the road in Dallas. If Jerry Jones hasn't fired whoever runs that clock by now, I'd be surprised. I can't believe. Well, they were fortunate the way the ball bounced, but man, yeah, definitely holding 4-leaf clovers the way that went down. The Packers could not have screwed that up more.
Now, I'm just going to bring up one other thing that apparently is that's hot for those that follow and enjoy green and gold football. I don't know who these people are, but they've certainly infiltrated the greater Minneapolis and St. Paul metro. What's up with the special teams situation? Bisaccia, by the way, when he was with the Raiders, I believe maybe this was the back end of Gruden's time there, but he was kind of beloved. Like he was kind of like man off the street, and he's got everyone hustling for him. I think he was even interim coach guy for a bit with the black and silver. People loved Bisaccia, and now I'm hearing that everyone wants to run the special teams coordinator out of town. You did have the blocked kick. I don't know if McManus, if it was just a little low or what it was. It was return, the 3-point swing. But apparently people are down on your special teams unit.
Yeah, you could say that. I called for his firing during the bye week at halftime last night. I think he is still the highest paid non-head coach in football. I know he's the highest paid special teams coach. Packers were just so shrewd to pry him away from the Raiders after his stint as the interim coach. And yeah, he is beloved. Everybody will run through a wall for him. But Nordo, for the last number of years, it's like you never know what you're going to get from the Packers special teams. And it goes beyond now 2 straight weeks of block kicks that swung games. I mean, literally swung the Cleveland game and swung last night's game. It even goes beyond the protection for kicks. If you look at how the field position battles go on kickoffs, Turpin's taking it to midfield. They can't stop a return, and they don't even know how to field a return. Golden doesn't know what to do. They end up at the 20. They give up so much field position basically on every kickoff because there's a lack of understanding. And, yeah, they were missing a couple guys on special teams that they count on, but so is everybody. You got to be coached up well enough to just not tilt the field on every kickoff. They don't have a returner they can count on. They had Romeo Dobbs returning punts at the end of the game. It's the last guy you want back there. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to fire Bisaccia, obviously, but if LaFleur really wanted to send a message, I'd be all for it. It's been a complete disaster, and it's not just this season. It's several seasons now.
The Micah Parsons situation with the health in the back, just a couple more for you, and then I'll let you get on to enjoy the day. You're whistling Dixie. Your team tied at Dallas Stadium last night. But
yeah, Micah, that's it.
Micah Parsons back in the mix, but back is the operative word here. He's on the field. He's off the field. There was a moment last night where he looked like somebody had to basically Dr. Frankenstein him to get him back on the field. No big deal. He saves a Dak Prescott rushing touchdown in the process, running across the entire opposite side of the field to find him behind the line of scrimmage. But keeping him on the field, maybe this isn't a long-term in totality of his career conversation, but that kind of feels like this is going to be something you just have to deal with over the course of 2025?
Well, I hope not, but maybe. I mean, I think you look at last night's game, we can't even imagine the emotions going through Parsons, going back there, a place he figured he'd be for his whole career, and all that he was talking about all week and all the attention. So he wanted to be out there as much as possible. And something happened where his back did get messed up, and he was in and out. But he did, as you say, make really a game-saving tackle, the one splash play there in overtime to stop Dak from going in. Otherwise, kind of an unexciting night from Parsons. I don't know how much was health, how much was emotions, how much was Dallas just trying to do everything they could to make sure he wasn't the story by what he did on the field. But again, that's the beauty of the bye week. It's too early for a lot of teams. It's not too early for Green Bay. Give Parsons 2 weeks to get that back right. Maybe Devontae Wyatt comes back. When he went down with the knee last night, the run defense completely imploded. Maybe get those 2 linemen back. Maybe Christian Watson is finally on the field in week 6. So it's just a good time for Micah to kind of get healthy and this team to sort of reset after looking like everybody's Super Bowl darling after week 2. Now they're back in the mess with everybody else and need to correct a lot of things to be, taken seriously as a contender.
Lastly, more just procedural. I was a bit, maybe I shouldn't be surprised. I don't know. I overthink whether it's the analytical side of things and just maybe strategic points within a game. The fact that they kicked that field goal in that spot, the Cowboys, specifically in overtime, the idea their defense had really proven no ability to stop you. And early on, you can pick out like Ezeraku had a couple of nice plays. And Trayvon Diggs actually tried to tackle somebody once. I was shocked when I saw it. I don't know if you were. But for the most part, Eberflus's defense is a disaster. They're bringing Jadeveon Clowney back. That's how bad it is. And you kick that field goal. You give you the opportunity when they hadn't stopped you all night. I'm almost thinking go for the dagger, force the TD, or you come out with the W, or you accept your decision to go for it in that spot. I was kind of surprised they kicked there and kind of conceded the opportunity that Love and company got in the first place.
Yeah, I feel like at that point they realize best case it's probably going to be a tie. You got to figure Green Bay is going to at least get the ball to field goal range.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's just for some reason they just didn't feel it. I did feel the same way. I'm like, field goal is not going to win the game. There's no time left. You're not going to get the ball back most likely. You get second guess big time if the Packers stop you, obviously. But yeah, I think it would have made a nice statement the way the team had the momentum. Certainly, yes, Green Bay kept answering, but it just felt like Dallas was going to win this game somehow, some way. Yeah, a little surprised. I do wonder if they are second guessing that this morning.
So you're into the bye, you're out of the bye, you got Cincy, then you're at Kyler, then you're at Tomlin, you're hosting Carolina. Schedule's just as per usual due to the NFL schedule makers, just making it as easy on you as humanly possible.
Yeah. That doesn't sound daunting, but then when I think the Vikings come to town, Philly comes to town, they got the Lions again on Thanksgiving, the Bears a couple times, Baltimore, Denver. It gets meaty, and you glossed over Tomlin, but that's Aaron Rodgers against the Pack for the first time on Sunday Night Football on the road, so that's not going to be a walk in the park either.
No, I suppose it won't be. Thanks for your time, as always. Congratulations on the tie, and we'll chat next week, Mr. Sinykin.
All right, keep up the good work, Nordo. Thanks.
All right, cheers. That's Dave Sinykin, and whether it's Packer Preview, it's In the Zone, Quarter Century, Fan Family, and they do Packer Review podcasts, not just Sinykin, but Brett Blakemore. And you can access that Packer Preview or Review podcast, via TC Head Cheese on X, Brett KFAN on X, and it's on the free iHeartRadio app. So subscribe to it if you're into such things. Congratulations on the tie, Brett.
Thanks.
I mean, who am I kidding? That good. I would, all things considered, feeling the way I feel now at 2-2, I wouldn't have minded a tie yesterday. But we move forward. We move back to Vikings football. I got some talkbacks from listeners around the corner I'm going to play, plus some audio from both Justin Jefferson and defensive lineman Elijah Williams. PA recorded those quick chats shortly after yesterday's 24-21 loss at Croke Park in Ireland. Alec Lewis will be joining us around 10:20-ish as well for his thoughts. He was on site, on scene, and we'll continue this conversation. PJ Fleck, though, Golden Gopher fans, how about the ability of Drake Lindsay, new guy besting the previous guy, or two back, Rosemer into Athan. And in kind of what was a shootout game, couldn't run the ball, no big deal. Drake just goes for 303, and PJ's team gets the W to open the Big Ten Conference in earnest. Digging that, PJ Fleck joins around 10:45. Parker Fox will be in the mix as well. So a lot to do, a lot to talk about as the second hour comes at you next. It's 9 to noon on the Fan.